Today, we delve into the rich history woven into the traditional stories of giants, particularly the legends of the Miwok Indians from Northern California. In these tales, rock giants emerge from caves to prey upon the people, focusing especially on women. The Miwok, who live not far from the northern Paiutes, share these stories of formidable beings as part of their oral heritage. This episode follows a prior exploration into Sarah Winnemucca's retelling of the Paiute legend, which spoke of red-haired giant cannibals living in caves, capturing and consuming people. Today, our reading is drawn from the dawn of the world, Myths and Tales of the Miwok Indians of California, a collection by C. Hart Merriam published in 1910. This book offers a wealth of myths, describing the world's creation and the origins of animals. The stories are divided into two sections, Ancient Myths and Present-Day Myths. Each section presents a tale of a rock giant, albeit under varying names. Though fictional, these stories have endured for generations within the Miwok community, possibly hinting at shared cultural memory or ancestral cautionary tales. Intriguingly, these legends resonate with elements of the Paiute stories documented by Winnemucca, located just east of Miwok territory in California. Uvalin, the rock giant. Long ago in the northern reaches, there was a great giant named Uvalin, a being as tall as a towering pine tree. As he surveyed the land, full of people, he saw them as a feast. He would descend upon villages, catching up to 10 people between his massive fingers, while others were tossed into a net he carried on his back. After devouring an entire village, Uvalin would journey south, seeking new victims. His hunger led him to the southern edge of the world, leaving only a few survivors to flee in his wake. Upon reaching the southernmost villages, nearly sating his hunger, Uvalin turned back north. Crossing the narrow stretch of the Waccamatta-Mercad River, about 6 miles above Applaw at Mercad Falls, he left immense footprints imprinted in the rocks, a lasting reminder of his path. When night fell, Uvalin would seek rest in a cave on the slope of a rounded hill just beyond Sawachi, near present-day Coltaville. Here, the surviving villagers attempted to retaliate, launching arrows into the cave, but their efforts were futile. Uvalin's stony skin rendered him invulnerable to their weapons. As dawn approached, Uvalin would rise, famished, and head out once again to hunt. Desperate to defeat him, the people enlisted the help of Uchum the fly. Go, follow Uvalin, they urged, and bite him all over, his head, eyes, ears, and every part of him down to his feet. Discover his weakness. Uchum agreed, setting off on his mission. He bit Uvalin from head to toe, testing every inch, but nothing harmed the giant, until he bit beneath Uvalin's heel. At this, Uvalin kicked. Uchum repeated the bite on his other heel while he slept, causing another kick. Recognizing this weakness, Uchum reported back to the villagers. The villagers devised a plan. They sharpened sticks and long splinters of stone, planting them firmly along Uvalin's path. Hidden nearby, they waited. Eventually, Uvalin stumbled upon the sharp points, and his feet were pierced. Overwhelmed with pain, he fell, succumbing to the agony, and died. In these stories, the rock giant Uvalin embodies both a formidable force and a reminder of resilience. Through determination and ingenuity, the people found a way to overcome even the most indestructible of foes. When Uvalin was finally dead, the people gathered around and wondered, now that he's gone, what should we do with him? They looked to one another, uncertain, until a wise elder spoke up. Let us gather wood and make a great fire to burn him. The people agreed, murmuring their assent, and together they brought vast heaps of dry wood, piling it high around Uvalin's enormous form. When they lit the fire, flames leaped upward, engulfing the giant's body. The wise elder instructed them to stay vigilant, warning, watch closely, for if any part of him flies away, it may find life again. As the fire roared, everyone's eyes were fixed on the flames, particularly on the whites of Uvalin's eyes, for they feared that part might escape. Every limb and piece of flesh remained in place, each smoldering under the intense heat, until suddenly the whites of Uvalin's eyes flew out, shooting through the air so swiftly that only Chick Chick, a small bird perched nearby, noticed. Chick Chick, though his eyes were sore and red, possessed keen sight, and without hesitation, he darted from his branch, chasing after the wayward eyes. He snatched them mid-air, quickly returning to the fire to throw them back into the flames. He added more wood, feeding the fire until the eyes were reduced to ash, fully destroyed. Afterward, the people dug a deep hole and placed Yulin's ashes within, covering it with heavy rocks. For 2 or 3 days, they stayed nearby, watching vigilantly to ensure he would never rise again. But Uvalin was truly dead, gone forever. With the threat of the giant behind them, the wise elder turned to each person, asking what they would like to become. Each answered with a chosen animal, and upon their declaration, they transformed into that very creature. Some became deer, while others took the form of ground squirrels, bears, blue jays, quails, snakes, frogs, and even the fierce yellow jacket wasp. These people, once known as the Hoyoko, the first people, had now become the animals of the forest, and so they have remained to this day. This is the tale of how the creatures of the land came to be, a story of the ancient world told by the Miwok people. Following this tale, we explore other legends. While the myth of Uvalin, the rock giant, belongs to the realm of creation stories, other accounts tell of rock giants that terrorize the people in ways strikingly similar to the tales of the Paiute. Cannibals. Chiholemch, the rock giant of Calaveras County. The northern Miwok recount the story of Chiholemch, a rock giant who roams at night in Calaveras County, carrying a massive bird, Che Kala, in a basket on his back. Both Chiholemch and the bird are made of rock, moving silently through the darkness. Emerging from one of his 2 caves, one near Mountain Ranch and the other along the Stanislaus River, he hunts for people, especially women, using a childlike wail, "Who? Who? Who?" to lure them close. If a woman responds, she is seized and tossed into his basket, where a sharp spike pierces her body, preventing her escape. His caves are filled with the remnants of his victims, deer horns, bones, and remains from both people and animals. The Miwok never leave their dead in caves, for fear that Chiholemch would claim them. Any man who defied this rule risked death at the hands of his own people. Yule, the rock giant of the Chowchilla foothills. In the southern reaches, the Miwok tell of Yule, a rock giant who lived far in the west, beyond the horizon where the sun sets. Each night, he would come up into the foothills, seeking people to devour. His presence haunted the region, as the people watched the western skies with fear. Lupuoyas, the rock giant of Tamalpay. The Hikiko people of Nikiso and San Rafael speak of a giant called Lupuoyas. In their story, a woman had a husband and twin sons. However, her brother killed her husband, leaving the little boys unaware of their father's existence. As they grew, they spent their days playing near a large rock in the forest, unaware that it was the very place their father had once frequented. Day after day, they returned to this spot, drawn to it by an unseen force, a connection neither they nor their mother fully understood. These stories of rock giants from the Miwok people serve not only as cautionary tales, but as echoes of a time when the land held mysteries and dangers that shaped the worldviews of those who came before. The legends reveal both the enduring strength of the human spirit and the bond between people and the land they inhabit. One day, as the boys played by the familiar rock, a voice echoed around them, startling them with a revelation. "You come here every day, just as your father once did," the voice announced. It was Lupu Oyas, the rock giant, who had spoken. Hearing this, the boys realized they had once had a father whose spirit still lingered at this place. Curious and drawn closer, they approached the rock and noticed long hairs protruding from its surface. These were the coarse nostril hairs of Lupuoyas. With a bold curiosity, the boys grabbed the hairs and yanked them. Angered by this, Lupuoyas stirred to life, grasping a long, hooked stick, ready to strike them down. The giant, solid and unyielding like the rocks themselves, had only one vulnerable spot, a place on his throat where he wore an abalone shell. The boys, perceptive and quick, noticed this weakness. Taking aim, They fired their arrows at the abalone shell, piercing it and mortally wounding Lupuoyas. His great body fell, shattering into scattered rocks across the ground. Though his flesh was like any man's on the inside, his exterior was all stone, except for the spot marked by the abalone shell. The name Lupuoyas means the Old Man of Rock, a fitting title for a being so ancient and formidable. As the pieces of Lupus lay silent, the boys knew that they had freed themselves and the land from his threat. Accompanying this legend, a significant footnote provides insight into the beliefs and customs surrounding burial practices. Over the years, many human skulls and skeletons have been found within the caves along the western slopes of the Middle Sierra. While this evidence initially suggested that local tribes might have practiced cave burials, the Miwok vehemently reject this notion. In their view, the idea of placing one's loved ones, mother, wife, child, or anyone close, in a cave is unimaginable and horrifying. The Miwok believed that such an act would subject the deceased to desecration by malevolent giants, a fate they considered deeply offensive. They have always burned their dead, ensuring their loved ones rest undisturbed, safe from the wrath of creatures like Lupuoyas. In fact, the Miwok's mythological narrative suggests they have inhabited this region for countless generations, possibly spanning thousands of years. Their language bears no resemblance to any other known language, reinforcing the belief that they have a unique, ancient bond with these lands. This antiquity hints that the remains within the caves belong to a people who predated the Miwok, thus giving rise to speculation about ancient civilizations and forgotten cultures that once roamed these mountains. These tales of rock giants reside within the larger framework of Miwok mythology, illustrating a world filled with powerful beings and sacred landscapes. As seen on the map, Calaveras County lies roughly 230 miles from Humboldt Lake, where skeletons were discovered, lending a curious validity to Sarah Winnemucca's story of the red-haired cannibals hunted by the Paiutes. However, there are notable distinctions. The Miwok stories lack any mention of red-haired giants, instead focusing on stone beings, and their legends stretch back far longer than the more recent Paiute tales, which date only a few generations before Winnemucca's 1887 account. C. Hart Merriam's 1910 introduction to the Dawn of the World offers further context, illuminating the cultural and historical significance of these legends within Miwok society. Merriam, who devoted over 30 years to documenting the life and beliefs of California's native tribes, emphasized the importance of recognizing and preserving these American folktales, which hold a rich beauty and character uniquely their own. Roosevelt himself tasked Merriam with reporting on the state of Native American communities, giving him a profound insight into their traditions and the government's influence. The tales Merriam collected were not only stories, but were sacred histories told by the elders, passed down faithfully each winter by the light of a flickering fire in the ceremonial roundhouse. As Merriam observed, these myths, rooted in the ancestral beliefs of the Miwok, hold lessons, values, and mysteries that span back across untold ages, preserving the spirit of the land and the people in every retelling. From generation to generation, these tales have been told, untouched and unaltered. The Miwok tribe's unique understandings of nature's forces and the ancient Earth's early beings diverge greatly from our own. So much so that the book's introduction offers readers an essential perspective for fully appreciating these stories. Written by C. Hart Merriam in January 1910, this introduction captures the timeless world of Miwok mythology. The myths of the California tribes reach back to a primordial era, to the days of the first people, a race of remarkable beings who roamed the earth long before the creation of humankind. These early myths, rich with magic and moral reflections, tell of the first people's deeds, their quest for fire, daring hunts, battles with giants, and escapes from death itself. They reveal personal qualities like jealousy and selfishness, exploring their consequences. These tales speak of the Coyote Man, the divine creator of the Miwok people, and the transformation of the first people into the animals and features of nature that surround us today. Myths also account for the origins of natural wonders such as thunder, lightning, and the rainbow. They recount a great flood, leaving only mountain peaks above the waters, in a time of endless cold and darkness before heat and light were finally won for the people. A summary of Miwok mythology highlights several essential beliefs. The existence of the first people, who were distinct from present-day Indians and transformed into animals, trees, rocks, stars, and even forces of nature such as hail and rain. Other deities, too, were significant, including Wekwek the Fountain, who was Coyote Man's grandson and companion, and Moloch the Condor, Wekwek's father. With his magic, Coyote Man could perform miracles, as could other early deities like Wekwek and Patali the Lizard, who helped create the Miwok people. The myths describe a world shrouded in darkness for a prolonged period, with a distant, precious source of heat and light, referred to as fire, the sun, or morning. This light was fiercely guarded by its keepers, knowing it would attract thieves from afar. Eventually, the fire was stolen and preserved within the Buckeye tree, ensuring its accessibility to all. Notably, certain beings like the North Giants could wield fire as a weapon against their foes. Their understanding of the sky was also unique, envisioned as a vast dome resting upon the earth, with holes at each cardinal point and a fifth hole directly overhead. Thunder Mountain, a place of intense cold located near the northern hole in the sky, was said to be the home of beings who roamed above and beneath the earth. Among these were rock giants, who dwelled in caves and preyed on people, and who would devour any corpse left in a cave. One belief that defies modern assumptions about the Miwok is their view on mortality. They believe the dead could rise again within 3 or 4 days, a cycle halted by Meadowlark Man, who denied them immortality. This belief emphasized the Miwok's respect for life's transient nature, reflected in their myths of creation. According to their lore, Coyote Man formed the ancestors of present-day Indians from feathers, sticks, or clay, with feathers being the most widely held origin. The final touch, the gift of 5 fingers, came from Patali the Lizard Man, who understood their importance, having 5 fingers himself. Reflecting on these profound tales, one can see the intricate blend of literal and symbolic meanings within Miwok mythology. While stories of rock giants and beings like Coyote Man and Lizard Man may challenge modern logic, these legends are firmly rooted in the animals and natural elements that surrounded the Miwok. Perhaps these giants, too, were part of their environment, incorporated into stories passed down through countless generations. What are your thoughts on these legends? Were they purely mythical, or might there be a core truth that aligns with tales from other indigenous tribes? Share your thoughts in the comments, and we'll continue exploring ancient histories and mythologies on this channel. Our channel focuses on historical accounts directly from old books, untouched by the biases of modern society and institutions. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more episodes.